Something we hear all the time from social media gurus is that in order to succeed, we have to be posting frequently. But they never tell us how. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge. I'm host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. Now, a common question that I get asked a lot is, Ethan, how on earth are you able to post so frequently and be present across various social media platforms? Because I have a podcast, I have a YouTube channel, I post on TikTok, I post on Instagram, I'm across all of these different platforms. Yet in my opinion, my content creation strategy isn't too strenuous. It's not too time demanding, yet I'm still able to post very frequently, pretty much daily on Instagram. I have a day off every now and again. I post 3 times a week on YouTube, 3 times a week with my podcast. I try to keep up on TikTok as much as I possibly can. So there's a lot of content being pushed out by me. And people often come to me and go, right, look, I want to do the same. I'm not sure how you're doing it. So I thought right now would be a good time to explain how I actually am able to create what appears to be a lot of content and be present across all of these different platforms. So without any further ado, I'm just going to dive straight into some tips on how you can post more frequently and be present across more social media platforms without having to put in much extra work. So tip number 1, and this is pretty much going to go down to my content creation strategy. I personally batch create my content. So a lot of people, when it comes to content creation, they will get to a day where they need to post and they will create that piece of content on that day. And they're essentially living day to day with their content creation, creating, then posting, then getting to the next day, creating, then posting. And I used to do that when I first started on Instagram. That is how I created and posted my content. And it wasn't sustainable. I would be stressed and trying to work out a content idea for the day, which consequently meant that the quality of the content I was producing was low, which in turn didn't help when it came to growth and engagement on my account. So that's when I decided, right, I need to think of a strategy. I need to come up with something that allows me to keep the quality of my content high and be able to produce 7 pieces of content per week so that I'm able to post daily. So that's when I actually started batch creating my content. And essentially what that means is that I will sit down on one specific day of the week and produce all of my content there and then for that following week. It meant that I wasn't rushing day to day creating that content. It meant that I could sit down with solid focus and work out what I was going to create, how I was going to create it. And that meant that I can get the quality high. And that also meant that throughout the week, when I would have normally been creating content, it gave me time to do other things such as engagement, reaching out to potential clients, servicing current clients. So the quality of my output as a whole increased because I was being much more organized with my content creation. And you've got to remember that, yeah, content creation is important because it brings you that organic reach. But you aren't, especially on Instagram, being paid for the content you actually produce. So you have to be careful. How much time do you spend creating that content? Because there is no direct return from that content creation, and it could take a while before you get those organic leads. So you need to be thinking, right, where do I need to divvy out my time so that it is best spent and I get the optimum return? So batch creating my content, sitting down on one specific day of the week, allow me to be much more organized, produce much higher quality content, and free up so much more time throughout the week to do those monetary producing tasks. So that is something I would definitely recommend. If you aren't already, pick a day of the week. I personally pick the weekends. So, for example, on the Saturday, I will produce all of my Instagram content, which I will repurpose. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. And then on the Sunday, I will sit down and record my 3 podcast episodes. But they're all planned, so it doesn't take long at all. So batch create your content. It will cause you much less stress, and your content quality, in my opinion, will increase. So that was tip number 1. Tip number 2, and I did very, very briefly mention it just then, and this is that you should be thinking of ways you can repurpose your content. This is how I'm able to be present across various social media platforms with little to no extra effort, in my opinion. For example, my podcast. When I record my podcast, I record it as a video. So when I'm doing that, I'm hitting 2 birds with 1 stone here. The video can be uploaded to YouTube. I can then strip the audio and upload the audio as a podcast. So it's no extra work there. All I'm doing is I'm recording my podcast episode, but because I'm recording it as a video, I get the YouTube video out of it as well with no extra effort. And then if I wanted to, I could then transcribe that audio and turn the audio into a blog post. I personally haven't done that yet, but if I wanted to, that option's there. So from creating one piece of content, I'm able to be present on 3 different platforms if I wanted to. I can even strip down the key parts of that video and turn them into singular pieces of social media content. You've got to think about all these different ways. And when I'm recording, I'll think about saying certain lines, certain things, certain topics, because I know that when it comes to editing, I could cut them down into clips, into shorts if I wanted to, and upload those onto my social media platforms. Very, very simple. Another one, Instagram Reels. I'm loving Instagram Reels at the moment. And the best thing about those is that they are in the exact format for TikTok. So whenever you record an Instagram Reel, repurpose it to a TikTok video. But remember, don't leave that watermark in there. I will export it separately because I do my Reels in Premiere Pro, export them. They are a high quality video and therefore they don't have the watermark and I can simply post on both. Another one, when you are creating an Instagram carousel, many people don't know this, but if you export it as a PDF document, you can upload that PDF document as a carousel onto LinkedIn. That is how you get a LinkedIn carousel. But again, no extra effort. It's just 2 different export types. One you would do as an image and the other one you would do as a PDF. One goes on one platform, one goes on another. And something I've been focusing on a lot recently is Pinterest. Well, I haven't been focusing on it a lot. I've just been dabbling it because I have really no idea what I'm doing, but I'm seeing a decent reach there and I've only just started on the platform. So whatever content I produce, whatever platform it's on, I will just save that as a pin onto my Pinterest, and again, completely organic traffic over there, but it allows you to bring in all of your different platforms onto one. So you can see here that I'm not really doing much extra effort when it comes to my content creation. I'm just being clever with how I distribute it and how I repurpose it, because you don't have to create a lot of content to be present across all of these different social media platforms. You can simply just take one, export it in a different way or cut it in a different way, and it can go on a different platform. You've already created the piece of content, it's just how you're distributing it. So when you're creating your piece of content, at the time of recording, at the time of designing, think, right, how can this work on different platforms? Will it work on different platforms? Because there's not a definite crossover that will always work. Instagram Reels and TikTok is one that will, but an Instagram carousel may work really well on Instagram, but because of the topic it's on, may not work as well on LinkedIn because of the platform demographic difference. So think about it when you're creating. How can I repurpose my content so that it suits another platform? That will allow you to be present amongst all of these different platforms without having to put in any extra effort whatsoever. That is how I do it, and that is how you need to be doing it as well. Tip number 3, I keep an idea bank. I have a bank where I store all of my content ideas. The worst thing when it comes to content creation is coming to that day where I batch create all of my content and I'm spending an hour or 2 having to come up with ideas because I hadn't been smart enough to note them down throughout the week when I'm actually having all of these different ideas. So what I'll do is either write them down on a piece of paper or I will have an Excel spreadsheet that I punch them into. And then at the end of the week, when it comes to actually creating my piece of content, I can look at this content idea bank, pick out the best ones, and then go and create my content. Because this is where a lot of people stumble when it comes to content creation. They don't create the content because they don't have the ideas. Even though they've had tons of ideas throughout the week, they just haven't noted them down or they haven't remembered them. Ideas can come from anywhere. Quora, other people's social media content, your own experiences. There's awesome websites such as answerthepublic.com. There are ideas everywhere. The key is you just have to be making a note of them, because as I said, it's so frustrating when you actually come to create content and then you just have a mental blank because you didn't note anything down. So it's a very simple tip, but if you ever get an idea come to your head and it's not your content creation day, just write it down. You'll thank yourself when you come to your content creation day, because all of your ideas will be there, and then it's just as simple as going, right, I'm going to pick out the 7 best and then create the content on those, or however many you need to pick out, depending on how many pieces of content you have to create for that week. So keep an idea bank and everything will become much more streamlined. Now, the final point that I want to make is potentially, if you want to, use a post scheduler. Many people give me the excuse of, oh, I didn't have time yesterday to post my piece of content, even though that it was already created. Of course you did. It only takes 3 to 5 minutes to create a post. You just didn't want to do it. But something that can eliminate that excuse altogether is scheduling that content. The Creator Studio is there for free for everybody to use if you want to. If you could create all of your content on that batch creation day, go straight into the scheduler, schedule the week's worth of content, and then just forget about it. Just engage when you have to. The one thing that I don't like about post schedulers, though, is the fact that you may one day be really busy and forget that a piece of content has gone out, and then you don't engage with your audience straight away in the comment section and build conversation within that comment section. That personality, that humanization element can disappear if you forget about it. But as long as you're on top of your posting times, it allows you to post at the same time every single day. You know when to come back and begin engaging with your audience. There's this rumor that goes around that using post schedulers decrease your engagement or shadow ban you. It's just one massive lie. Why on earth would Instagram actually offer their own post scheduler just because they want to decrease your engagement? Don't listen to that myth. It's not true. Just use post schedulers that are authorized or approved by Instagram themselves, because there are ones out there, third-party apps that aren't approved by Instagram, and they can have an effect on your account. But just make sure that they are approved. The Creator Studio, Hootsuite's another great one. Yes, it's not run by Instagram, but it is Instagram approved, and therefore it works just fine. Just be careful when you're selecting your post scheduler and make sure that it has been approved. But again, helps increase that organization, helps keep on top of that frequency, because you know that it's going to post every single day at the same time because you have set the post scheduler to do so. And that is how you increase your frequency of posting, staying on top of that posting schedule, and be present across all of those different social media platforms through repurposing your content. And that does wrap up today's video. If you did enjoy, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turned on post notifications. That way you will never miss a video when I post one. But if you did enjoy it, I do just want to mention that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School, and the audio version of the podcast is the place to be, because I release this content a lot sooner over there than I do here on YouTube. So I'm going to leave some links in the description below. Make sure you head down there and subscribe. But if you've got any questions with regards to anything that I've mentioned, please just reach out to me on Instagram @themarketingethan. Send me a DM and I'll get back to you no matter what. But I did just want to finish off by saying, if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.